All right. All right, Johnny. Welcome to the podcast. And can you introduce yourself to the people that are listening to this and to the people on the panel?
Yeah, awesome, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm Johnny Lynum, originally from Lower Alabama, the other LA. And yeah, man, been active duty Air Force for a little bit over 17 years now, and bought my first house, single family home in 2006. And my wife and I, we started a real estate investing business, started flipping houses in 2015, and bought our first multifamily in 2020, and just been continuing to scale up through the years.
Nice. And can you talk about like you growing up as a kid? Like what was that like from like 0 to 18? I don't know zero, but like you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, most definitely, man. And with me, I was born in Detroit, Michigan, where my family lived originally, and then we transitioned back down south where my dad was from, rural Alabama, when I was 8 years old. And so before we transitioned, my dad he had got called into the ministry, and so he wanted to move back home down south. I think he had been in Detroit since '66. And so it was definitely a change for the family, an adjustment moving down south. But it definitely, looking back on it, I really didn't realize how, I not won't say I'd call it a disadvantage, but we were sheltered from a lot because they're just in a rural area. We had three traffic lights. We didn't have a McDonald's in town, and so all that. So when you go off to college and you get experience of being in a large city, it's like, man, wow, all this, we missed out on all this, being able to go and see a movie the same night that it comes out everywhere across the nation type deal. So humble beginnings growing up, and went off to college, and and I have a sister, and and I think the family piece definitely, it molds you into the person that you become, for sure. And I was blessed to have great hardworking parents that sacrifice to provide for both myself and my sister, and that's why I do what I do. And unfortunately, I lost my mom last year,
That's sorry about
and
that.
and just continue to take life as it comes to you, and but just know that all the moments are precious. And I
Yeah,
think that's the big thing, looking back at where I was as a kid and now where I'm at, that it's definitely been a good journey. I can't complain.
man. And what was your experience like in college? What did you go after?
Yeah, so it was interesting. A lot of people, they start with one thing and they end with another. And I was fortunate that I was able to get an Air Force ROTC scholarship at the University of Alabama, Roll Tide. And but that process, it was definitely a journey. I started with an electrical engineering degree. I was on scholarship, so I really didn't have the option to really change. But a lot, but working with my dad, he had a appliance and television repair business, entrepreneur. And so I had kind of picked up some of that skill set, and so it kind of pushed me into that direction. And and so that's what I studied, going through college. Was there for 5 years, going through that process, and then ROTC at the same time. And but it was definitely a journey um that was still lacking, especially from the financial literacy standpoint.
Yeah.
And I share with a lot of people, how I had an electrical engineering degree, but I still did not have a strong financial literacy background. Whereas my credit was screwed up when I reported to my first duty station, and I had to get a relative to sign on my lease for my first apartment, and that kind of pushed me down that trajectory with seeking more information and knowledge outside of the traditional school system. Professor, you're buying books and going to a classroom. It was like, okay, I got to find other resources to get this right when it comes to credit. And I did that, which kind of led to me being able to get my first property and just going through that process.
Gotcha. And why did you go to the military? Why the ROTC route and all that?
For me, initially it was all money, man. It was didn't have a whole lot of money for paying for my education. I had some financial aid and things like that, but with the military, and it's funny, I had a 4-year scholarship out of high school to the Army. And when I went for my interview, my dad told me, who was a Vietnam vet who was in the Army, he's like, "Hey, while you're up there, talk to the Air Force. They're in the same building, so you probably want to talk with them as well." And and so I knew that that was a way out for me, whereas that I didn't have to come, my parents wouldn't have to come up with a whole lot of money to send me up to school if I could went the military route. And there's a lot of benefits that are out there for us, the GI Bill, for education for your kids, you can pass that down. and just learning the skill, serving the country. But for me, initially it was money. But then after getting in and serving, and the camaraderie and the bond that you build with just being on some dynamic teams and doing some cool stuff, that it became more than that. And hence me staying around so long now, over 17 years, with just that sense of service and that fulfillment that comes with serving.
Nice. And would you recommend people for the military, like staying in for like you were doing, like you're doing 20 years, correct?
Lord willing, about I got 2 years, 10 months left.
Okay. And would you recommend the military for a lot of people? Like who should and who shouldn't go to the military?
That's a great question, because it depends. It depends really, because every individual is going to be different. There's so many opportunities out there. But don't get me wrong, the military is still a great avenue. If you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, you figure out, it'll give you a lot of discipline. It'll give you a lot of skill sets that you can go off with, even if you just enlist, or you come in for just 1, 2, or 4 years, and you can figure out what you want to do. Because a lot of times, 18 years old, and if you don't have depending on your background, your household that you come from, you may not have a firm grasp of what it is that you want to do, or the direction that you want to take your life. So I think for a lot of people who are kind of searching, trying to figure that out, that it may be a good place, but I'll tell you, a lot of times it's not necessarily a good fit for everybody. And that's
Mhm.
with anything. Just because some people, they shy away from the discipline side of it, or the structure that comes with the military and all the expectations when you wear the uniform. That some people, that for whatever reason, just their upbringing, their values don't necessarily align with that, and it'll put them at a disadvantage where they'll be potentially struggling. So it just depends on the individual. But no, the military is a great institution. And I think serving, that it gives you a completely different perspective on life.
Nice. We got David here with a question. Go ahead, David.
So after you were done with the ROTC, what were you doing like on the side when you were in the military enlisted?
Yeah, so like with me, when I came out of college, I came in on the officer side, and I didn't really start when I bought my first house using my VA loan, and I got money back at closing and didn't have to put any money out. That kind of just threw me over the top when it came with, like, okay, there's something to this real estate. I need to dig in on this. Red Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And so for me, I was all in with the military stuff, but I was learning. I had joined my local meetup, was still consuming all the information. My wife joked, when we were dating, she would come and visit me because she was about 3 hours away. And she was like, I would have her at the RIA. Somebody's coming presenting on Saturday. We're in there. She's coming for the weekend to visit. And I'm dragging her to a RIA meeting talking about real estate investing. And so we're in there together. But for me, it really didn't start off. We bought our first true rental outside of just using our VA loan when we moved around in 2013. And so, it took a long time for me just to pull the trigger. It was really all in on my job. But I was buying foreclosures after that first house. The next two houses we bought were foreclosures that we used our VA loan with. And then we started picking up a couple of rentals. So for me, it really didn't turn into a side hustle or side business until around 2015. After I had been in at that point 10 years and was really wanting to look for more fulfillment, and taking a bet on myself, and looking like, hey, I got so much more potential, that now, like, I gotta do more for the family, and kind of establish that legacy.
Hmm. And for like, I guess like David here, he's in the ROTC program, and he's also going to the Air Force, I believe. But I guess his question is,
Nice.
what can he do on the side as an entrepreneur, but he can't do because he doesn't have access to the VA loan, I believe, as you're in ROTC. ROTC. What are some recommendations while
Right.
like a college kid or anybody? Like, what are some side business can they
Okay.
do?
Yeah, most definitely. I think it really comes down to whatever your passions are. Because right now, with it's so much you could do, kind of as a freelancer, whether
Hmm.
it's videography, YouTubing, you can create content. There's a lot of different opportunities. Real estate investing, clearly is a passion of mine that you can start getting into. But it comes down to the individual, to because I'm a true believer that you follow those things that you kind of have a calling for, that you feel very passionate about, because whatever challenges come your way, you're still going you'll be able to persevere, because you're in it for the long haul, and you're not necessarily driven by money. because a lot of times that you'll fall short because when it gets tough, it's like, okay, let me move over to something else because this is just too much. So it really just comes down to, things that you're passionate about, that you can look at how you can monetize. But at
Hmm.
the end of the day, when you look at any business or any product out there, you got to figure out how you can solve somebody else's problem. And so I think, looking from around your where you're at in your environment, but understanding, okay, what are you bringing to the table? What are you great at? And then how can you start solving people's problems by your skill set? And then just figuring out, okay, how can you put a system around it? How can you put a business around it? And I
Yeah,
think that'll be something that you kind of start pouring yourself into.
I like that. It's like, what are you good at, and how can you turn that into a business? I remember for myself, I first was given it out for free, right? I like, let me help this person out because I know how to analyze deals wholesale, right? I'm like, you know what? Now I can probably like profit it because now I build good reputation with these buyers. Why not, like,
Mhm.
start getting a little payment out of it? And now you just started a big business. At first, it does start out with giving for free or working for somebody for free. That sucks, but that's
Yep.
the best way to learn. It's what is it? You're learning, not earning. So every day, if you don't do that, you're losing billions if you're not learning at all. Now, what got you, Johnny, to do the whole entrepreneurial like mindset? Like, what was that first step? Was it a book? Was it someone telling you, "Hey"? Was it like a life event? Like, what happened?
For me, man, it was my dad, 100%. It was my dad. I still can remember, those Saturday mornings wanting to hang out and watch cartoons. And he's like, even when I was like 11, 12 years old, like, hey, come on, you're going to work with me on Saturday. And I'm like, man, I want to be a kid and do what kids do. But his mindset was, hey, I'm gonna teach you this skill. And I still the skill set right now. I can go and fix a washing machine or dryer right now, or troubleshoot a refrigerator and figure out what's going on with it. And but he was adamant about, hey, I'm gonna give you the skill set. Whatever happened in life, you'll never be broke because you always have this skill and you'll know what to do. And he was 100% right. And so it definitely started from there. I had my own lawn care business when I was 17, cutting lawns just to make me some extra money, go to the movies, hang out, whatever I wanted to do, buy whatever kind of shoes I wanted type deal. And I had part-time business, when I would come home, washing cars during the summer, so things like that. So I always kind of had that entrepreneurial bug. And so that's where, it was just okay. It was just a matter of time. And real estate just became that vehicle
Yeah.
after I got a taste of it.
Now, what age was that when it was like, okay, I got to hit hard into
Yeah, no, for me, it was what, 20, no, was that 2015? How was I? No, I was in my 30s then. So 2015 was that time for me. I was a fairly senior captain in the Air Force at that time, and I wasn't really fulfilled. Whereas that I had so much more potential. I was managing, we were executing $120 million a year, myself and a small team, and we were doing tremendous stuff. But at the same time, I'm negotiating contracts, saving the government millions on top of millions of dollars. But get in the military, you're not getting a bonus check. You're not
Yeah.
getting to share that. And so I was like, okay, I can do this. I know how to manage contractors. I know how to manage people. I'm a leader. I've deployed, led teams down range and things like that. And so, it came down with my wife, and she was 100% supportive. I'm like, let's buy a foreclosure and let's flip a house. And so we did that, and we took the leap of faith, and we bet on ourselves and got started. And that's really how it kind of started for me, from just knowing I had more inside of me. Whereas that we made the decision, after we had our first child in 2013, that she wasn't going to work anymore. And so we didn't have two incomes coming into the house, and it was just me and supporting the household. And it was like, okay, we can create a business. I can put systems in place. I can manage this, and we can do it. And so we just kind of took that leap of faith and bet on ourselves and made it happen.
Yeah. Can you talk about all the real estate that you've done so far? Like, oh, from your first house to the houses that you have now, or can you talk about that, the history?
Sure, sure. Yeah, man. And that's been a journey. We all have our own, journey to get where we ended up at. But for me, to get to that point where I was at career wise, because I still had that broke mindset. And I like to say it was like I was broke Johnny then when I started, and then to where I'm at today now, I'm woke Johnny. And so in between that transformation is like you constantly are growing. You're seeking professional development. We did that first flip in Alexandria, Virginia. Learned a heck of a lot. My lender made more money on that deal than we did. But we took what we learned and we started virtually flipping houses in Birmingham, Alabama, where my wife was from. I had some family there, and I put a team together. I drove down 10 hours after we got the next house under contract. And, I got multiple estimates, put the team together. We did that project, sold it, then we started looking for our next one. We found it, did the same thing, and started repeating. And then we did that until we moved down to Panama City, Florida in 2017. And we started getting into real estate. I was getting the process, getting my marketing going, and everything. Then I got hit with deployment orders. And so we just started wholesaling some properties because I didn't have time to put a team together. And once I got back, 3 weeks later, Hurricane Michael hit, Category 5 hurricane. I was so devastated because all while I was deployed, I hired a VA like the month before I got back. I was just learning. I had got my Carrot website. They had got everything going and was ready. And then like 3 weeks later, we get back, and overnight, we were devastated. You had thousands of dilapidated houses, and we were displaced for 6 months. But that setback that I thought originally was like, oh man, now I can't do my business, was actually a setup for our success. And once we got back in our house, we've been consistently doing 10, 12 deals a year in the Panama City market, helping the community recover. We've been building wealth. We bought our first multifamily there in 2020, 18 unit. We refinanced that in July of this year.
Mhm.
And subsequently took the proceeds from that transaction with the refinance, and we closed on a 40 unit in Montgomery, Alabama a couple weeks ago. And we got a 56 unit under contract here that we're going to be closing on in 2 weeks. That's in Montgomery as well too. And so the journey, it's been a crazy journey, but a lot of traction here the last few years, and just scaling up and and pouring into other people. Because like with the apartment units that we just bought, the 40 unit is 56, it came from one of my coaching clients that came and enrolled with me early part of this year. We flipped the house together, and I was telling him how I do multifamily and just reaching out to brokers and having a marketing strategy. And we found this crazy deal that we were able to put together. And so it's just just a whole lot of pouring into more people, providing, adding value to other folks, and then just continue to kind of just grow.
Nice. Okay. Chris, you got a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Why did you go into foreclosures first and not into like regular for sale houses, or like not, or even for sale by owners? Why specifically foreclosures?
No, great question. And I think it was just the time being, because the first one we bought was in 2011, and they were prevalent out there on the market. And and just from talking to, I remember there was this retired chief master sergeant. He was telling me, he's like, man, he's like, don't go out here and just rent a place. He's like, use your VA loan, check and see if you still have more entitlement. Because my first house cost like 65K. So I had plenty of entitlement left, but I didn't know. And so when I got the Newport News, he told me that, and I was living with some guys. We all had went to Intel school together. And so I was the dude on the couch. I was just living at their house, waiting, because I was waiting for this apartment that was like kind of retail and living space. Upstairs had living accommodations. And so I was waiting for an apartment unit to open up. And I talked to the retired chief that was staying next door to them. And he was like, nah, man. He's like, go talk to a realtor and see if you still have some entitlement left. And lo and behold, I did, and we actually got a great deal. We bought that property for like $208,000, and it qualified for a VA loan because it wasn't that damaged. It was the only thing we had to come in and do was paint a little bit. And so that kind of gave me that opportunity to kind of see that, hey, you can move in this space. And so 2 years later, I PCS'd again in Northern Virginia. I still had enough entitlement left where I could buy a condo for like $280,000, and we were able to do that. So I had 3 houses under my VA loan, and we were able to kind of get the deals done. And so from there, the next 2 houses when I moved were foreclosures as well too. And it was just because it became a good niche, whereas that you could buy with equity from day one, and then you could come in and add value by making improvements and everything, and especially having the cash flow once you move, and you don't have to put any money down.
Nice. Does that answer your question, Chris?
Yep.
Okay. And Johnny, so how would one do 10 to 12 deals like you're doing now, what are some resources or tools that you would recommend for that person trying to get those 10 or 12 deals a month?
Yep, no, and it's definitely multifaceted. You got to have a great team,
Mhm.
great team. I can't say enough about the team I have with my guys. As far as my contractor that I've been with, we've been together for 3.5 years now since we did our very first flip or buy or purchase there in Panama City after the hurricane. We've been together, and those guys have been phenomenal. And I'm in Northern Virginia, so I've been virtual. It'll be 2 years in November since we moved, and my team's still been going at a high level. But it comes down to the people. You got to have great people, and then behind the people, you got to have great systems. So we leverage, the great, tools such as, for me, it was Zillow and Slack because I had a great strategy with getting properties off the MLS, which now is not as competitive. But soon as something would come on the MLS, I would work with the listing agent and have the listing agent support me as the buying agent as well too, so they could get both sides of the commission. And that strategy worked really, really well over the last few years with getting deals. But having a system in place, using technology as well too, prop stream, being able to run comps and pull that information in. Now I have an acquisition manager who's a realtor in the Panama City market, so that helps tremendously. I don't have to talk to motivated sellers at all. She takes all those appointments that my lead generation guy who's over in the Philippines, he sets those appointments that we get from cold calling and sending text messages blast out. And so now it's really the team that I'm kind of out of and then just running and executing the systems at this point. So I think definitely people number one, and then looking at technology like we use PropStream, we use Slack, Google Drive, REI replies, kind of our CRM, and what we use
Mhm.
to send messages. So things like that and bring it
Yeah.
all together.
Funny enough, we recently just got affiliated with PropStream. So that's one of the
Okay.
coolest things. Yeah. And how do you vet your team? How do you know like, oh, this is a good contractor, oh, this is a good person to work with? Like, what do you test out, or how do you like not get as in the hole as you would if you did choose the wrong person?
Don't pay them too much money up front. For one, I think that's the biggest thing is don't pay contractors a lot of money up front. A lot of them disappear. But you really want to vet the character. One, ask for referrals. Talk to other people. That's no difference with anything. You want to get referrals to people that had a great experience with that individual or that company. And then two, go through, get multiple estimates, see how their prices compare to everyone else. You don't always want to go with the cheapest and lowest bidder. But you do want to, referrals go a long way with if you have somebody that you respect and you within your network, then that's always good to have. But I think really vetting them and then, giving them a shot because nothing's guaranteed. You start going through the process. We've had experiences where contractors, they lost their crew during a job because they had another job that didn't
Mhm.
get paid out and their team left them. And so when they're scrambling, trying to, do the best they can and make shift with what they got to get the job done. And so it's kind of dynamic, but you gotta foster that relationship, and communication is gonna be key with any relationship, and having a contract, having everything documented up front, agreed to on how the process is gonna work. And whereas that way everything is clear up front and everybody knows what they expect from the other party, and you just continue to grow together. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Gotcha. And when you said documents, what specific documents do you mean with your contractors?
Yeah, just having a scope of work or statement of work that kind of is a contract that that's legally binding. You guys sign, and this is what is agreed to, and this is the price that you need to pay, and like this is when you're gonna pay us at uh this level of completion of the project. We expect to be paid 30%, 70%, and then we'll pay the closeout after completion and inspection. So you just kind of lay out how the relationship is going to work throughout the project.
Nice. And what makes you different from other investors? Like, what is that one thing that you're like, oh yeah, this sets me apart from every other competitors or every other person that's investing like I am, but I do this differently. What is that?
Yeah, for me, I think my superpower is my ability to underwrite or analyze a deal fairly quickly, with and taking information. And so I think that's kind of that superpower that I have.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you use that superpower? How do you underwrite so quick? If you don't mind asking.
No, you gotta know your numbers. And I think, understanding your zip codes, getting laser focused on the price per square foot in your market,
Mhm.
understanding your labor costs, understanding what needs to be repaired by looking at the pictures of the property, especially when you're virtual and you're not walking there personally. And from there, understanding the market and you just putting it all together, like, okay, I can pay X amount, so it costs me this much to renovate, and being able to move with speed to get something under contract, I think has been really good. And then I think the same side on the multifamily side, with being able to assess a deal before really going forward and wasting a lot of time, that you can kind of look kind of the back of an envelope at those check marks, like, okay, this clears, this clears, this clears. Okay, now let's go to another level of detail to kind of look deeper to see if there's any reason why we shouldn't move forward with this property.
Gotcha. Do you automate that with a spreadsheet or do you just do it all pencil and paper?
Yeah, I just need a calculator. I just
Gotcha.
need my phone. Yeah, need my phone and just go through and do a couple calculations real quick.
Gotcha. And at the end, we're gonna have you try and analyze the deal if that's like a random on the MLS if you can.
Yeah.
See how it works. Also, at what are you looking at? What how do you scale? Let's say this young man has all his finances stable and is trying to invest, but they don't know how to scale their business. Or what was your position and like what helped you scale your business to where it's at now?
Um, for me, and I'll say scale, I've kind of stopped because I got to the point where is that because I'm doing my business part-time. I'm still active duty Air Force.
Hmm.
And so for me, it was at a comfortable level because I didn't want to hire a bunch of employees, but and I wanted to kind of keep one crew where I'm not trying to manage multiple crews, especially as leading up as the market shifts where you're not overexposed. But I think you got to find somebody that's doing what you want to do. And I think that's the biggest thing. I joined a mastermind group of high level flippers last year.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of when I hired my acquisition manager, brought them in. I went through the processes about the payment structure, the job description, and laid all that out that I got from, from a couple of people in the group on how they were managing their acquisition managers. So find somebody that's doing what you want to do, because I'm a true believer that it's not how, it's who. And
Mhm.
so once you figure out who can help you do with that thing that you want to do, you're gonna get there a whole lot faster.
Yep, Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Who know how. And what was the scariest thing? Like I know we're both in the military, right? And we're both busy.
Yep.
And you know, like, hey, a lot of things you're working longer than you should. It's not 9 to 5. It could be a whole 24-hour if you have to. You'll be in the field, you'll get deployed. What scares you the most about your real estate business or any of it?
Right now, today, what scares me the most?
Yeah.
Getting content. I think that's the biggest thing that I've been dealing with that the last few weeks. It's like, I can stop now. I'm good. But it's like I can do so much more and I can impact so many more people. And that's the thing now where I'm looking at legacy and my grandkids and looking at the pedigree that my mom left behind. It was like, hey, you got to take care of these kids. I ain't gonna be here forever.
Mhm.
And so now it's like, okay, no, I'm a true believer. Like, hey, while the sun's up, you need to be working and we can sleep later. So, I think that's the biggest thing is not getting content, but still staying active. And if I still have the ability to keep doing, not take crazy risks. But I think they're getting complacency. That complacency, I don't want to get to that place where I just feel comfortable and not want to do anything else and thinking you arrive, because
Yeah.
that's the setup.
I like that. Hey, that's all entrepreneurs. They just don't want to stay in one place. They just want to keep upgrading. And what was the biggest fear decision that you made, and what was the outcome of it?
Biggest fear decision, man. I don't think it was any bigger fear than that first house. Going in, we had black mold. We had to renovate a pool in Northern Virginia, and we spent over 75,000. I think that's still the most extensive renovation that we've done to date. Because from there, it helped me define my buy box, and from a risk perspective, where I focus on cosmetic flips that was on a slab. We didn't do crawl spaces. We didn't do really old homes. I just literally, the house that we're about to put on the market down in Panama City was the first house we ever tore down a wall in and changed the floor plan, because it 100% needed. It had to be done. It was no way anybody would want to buy that house the way the floor plan was laid out. But that's the first one. But so really, I always kind of been adhering to that buy box, whereas that we just kind of focus on working class homes. We didn't get on the luxury side. We didn't go real expensive, just kind of staying below medium home price for the area. And just so those things here. But really, that first one was the big leap of faith. And a lot of people call it the law of the first deal.
Mm-hmm.
You just start getting that traction if you do that first one. So for me, it was definitely the first one.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. And was there some things that you tried that didn't work out? Like, oh, like, hey, this isn't me. I rather do like some people are, oh, commercial's not my space. It's more I like doing residential. Was there any of that in your business?
No, not for me. Because I still right now I do both. I do both. I'm probably pivoting more on the commercial side. But the big one for me that kind of when I spoke about staying below the median price for the area was taking a high-end home that didn't sell for 9 months. And so that was an experience, especially, we're going through with the larger interest payment. And we had done a couple, $50,000 acquisition costs, when we bought the houses originally. And this one was like we bought at 270. And and so it was a whole nother ball game. The contractor's another level of contractor finishes and skill set that needs to be done. And that was the house whereas that my crew that I had, and we were doing this virtually, that his crew didn't get paid and they walked off from him. And literally him and his wife are in there trying to paint and get the work done in this $400,000 house.
Damn.
And I had to bring in a whole new contractor halfway through the project. While I'm 10 hours away in Northern Virginia. So, and then it was in a great neighborhood, but the back of the house backed up to a really busy highway. Anybody knows Birmingham, just Highway 280 is constantly busy. And when the leaves fell in the fall, you could hear the road. As soon as you step on the back porch, all you can hear is the cars going back. And so it took the right buyer to come in that wanted to buy the house. And we ended up getting it sale. It was creative. One person that wanted to move there, they had to sell their other house first. And so they wanted to rent the house while their house was selling, and then they would close on our house. So they ended up renting the house for like 45 days. But that was cool. It was able to come in, make the interest payments and do all that. So we didn't have to worry about that piece. And we had it locked in at a really good price. So
nice. Like a low interest rate and all that.
Yeah. And so this was back in early part of 2017. And so,
Okay.
from there, it was like, okay, we're not doing this again. Let's go back to our bread and butter with starter homes that's kind of, ARV around 150 to 200 and just kind of go through there. Whereas that we can carry 2 or 3 of those, and that's the equivalent of the same interest payments for just one of those houses. So
Nice. And since you're like 10 hours away from that property, why choose that neighborhood? Like, how'd you know, hey, this is the neighborhood I want to invest? Because a lot of people, when they start out, they're like, I'll just go to my backyard and not do long distance real estate. What made you do, or what made you choose that neighborhood out of everything else?
Well, we already had done some properties. We had the team in place in Birmingham, and it was just going on Zillow. And I looked and saw that the house was listed for 270, and all the other houses Mountain Brook is a really prestigious neighborhood, and everything else around it was like 400K or plus. And so I was like, okay, what's going on? And the couple was getting a divorce, and the wife had listed the house, and she was just ready to be done with it. And it wasn't in terrible shape. And so that was the whole reason that we went with that deal, just with the price point, and the numbers made sense. So I was like, okay, we got another deal. Let's go.
Nice.
And yeah, so
Gotcha.
that was kind of the lead up to that one.
Gotcha. And what's the biggest lesson you want people to understand?
Take action. Got to take action. We consume so much content now, books, podcasts, YouTube, seminars, meetups. You gotta take act. I'm right there with you because I consume. I'm a big believer in professional development, network, and masterminds. But at the end of the day, you still got to take action on the information. I think now more than ever, we all got enough information. You just got to get out and apply it and take action.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like, what does your schedule look like right now? Like, what is your routine? Do you have any specific routine that you like to do?
Yeah, primarily my routine: drop the kids off at school. Hit the gym for at least 30 minutes before the office. Get in the office by 9. Go work. Shoot out at lunch. or, you know, after lunch and check my phone because I can't have my phone in the building, check my
Mhm.
phone, see if anybody needs anything in particular, check in with the wife. She can call me in the office or I'll call her from the office and just see what's going on. Cause she takes care of all like the Home Depot payments, working with vendors, utilities, disposition, all that stuff. She works all that. And so, yeah, just check in. Then in the evening time, I'm Monday nights, I'm meeting with my coaching clients, and Monday and Wednesday we got soccer as well too. And then you know, Tuesday and Wednesday is kind of open. I mean, may probably having 1 or 2 investor calls in the evening time to kind of just talk with other people that's interested in investing and having those type of conversations. And then just continuing to grow myself, and you know, whether I'm taking some kind of like course or looking over some information or reviewing deals, things like that that come up, or working with my team. More so on the coaching side these days than the real estate side, because real estate, I don't even see the deal until my acquisition manager takes pictures and she shoots it to me, and she's like, "I'm thinking X. What do you think? What do you think?" And then I'll give her that, and
Mhm.
then it goes in the contract. She gives it the title. I'll work the hard money or raising the private money on with our investors, and then they get us off to the races with the project. So that's kind of my schedule. You know, try to keep a balance, you know, between the work. I don't have to go TDY a whole lot,
Yeah.
which is great. You know, and you know, just really, I got, you know, my beautiful wife and 3 kids, so that's my priority. But it takes a lot of sacrifice, and for me, it really comes down to being able to say no to opportunities. Whereas if it doesn't align with faith, family, or what I'm trying to build with real estate, it's like, yeah, I probably can't go just to protect my time, to be able to make sure I don't miss those moments with the family, or I'm gonna get a return on investment for me spending that time at whatever it is.
Yeah, I like that. And what was the biggest problem that you had in like 18 to 26? The biggest struggle?
During that 18 to 26,
Yeah.
oh man, getting past having an education and knowing that I didn't know it all, or you know that I was still ignorant to a whole nother world out here with the financial literacy when it comes to stocks and bonds,
Yeah.
evaluating the business, real estate, all that. Like, man, you got this engineering degree, but you don't know nothing about what you need to know in order to survive and to make it, and how to build wealth in this world. So
Yeah.
that was it for me.
And do you use your degree at all? Or is it just like you just have it?
I use it. The biggest thing with it just teaches you how to think. So now I'm more management and manage some really, really cool teams. But that's all it is now. I'm not hands-on doing electrical engineering work with the military. That now it's more just focused on the leadership side of it. And but you know, you take it with you, being able to work through different concepts and help manage, you know, technical projects. So
Yeah. And do you have like a FOMO or like a fear of like, like a fear of missing out on things and like because of the sacrifices that you made? Do you have that feeling?
Uh, the missing out piece, you do a lot of times. You can't travel. You got a certain amount of vacation days. You know, you want to go and be with all the family events and with your friends and everything. So a lot of times you do miss out. And a lot of times you miss out on a lot of the family activities, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And so now I'm cognizant of that, especially after losing my mom. That, you know, your time and where I spend my time at, and making sure that I keep what's most important at all times, and keeping a good balance with that, you know, is just still, you know, spending quality time with my dad, even though he's back in Detroit now. And so, you know, making sure like, hey, I want to see him at least once a quarter. I'm gonna make my way over there. We're gonna do something cool together when we get together. And so things like that, where I just kind of keep that always top of mind, and just making sure that my decisions continue to align with that. And
Eh,
then had a family with me too, where that we're all like having those experiences together.
Yeah. And you're also licensed, correct?
No, no,
No?
I don't have
Okay,
a real
okay.
estate license.
But you do have a coaching business that you run?
Yes, yep. So I
Okay.
started coaching early this year, and I'm almost. I think I got 5 more hours left, and then I'll have my ICF, International Coaches Federation certification for the agency. So I coach junior professionals within the agency I work right now, and just help them from professional development, and help them to get their max performance in the workplace with coaching. And then now I'm coaching on the real estate side as well
Yeah.
too. So it's a passion, just really being able to pour into people and help them kind of level up.
Okay. And how I never like a lot of I hear a lot about coaching business, but I never heard like you got to get certified or anything. Like, what do you need to like get started in? I guess for like the pros out there, they want to start coaching. What, how would they start doing that business? What kind of certifications or to website? Like, how would that work?
Yeah, so great question, because really the only body or that kind of gives a certification is the ICF. And so their requirement is going through a approved training program or curriculum with the university or with a contractor that's been approved to teach. And once you get those classroom hours and everything, and then you do whether it's pro bono or with the current corporation, you get so many practice hours. For us, it was like 24 hours, and then you get 6 hours of mentorship from a professional coach, and then you can apply for your designation to get your ICF.
Nice. I like that. Wow. And you network a lot, right? I'm guessing. And what's your best tip on networking with people that you see that people just don't utilize?
I think really finding the specific rooms or tribes of individuals that's doing the same, not the same thing, but doing the thing that you want to start doing or the thing that you're doing. Finding those rooms that's specific to your niche and get in those rooms and network, because I think it's Grant Cardone, was saying that everything that you want, a stranger has it. And
Yeah.
we grow up where everybody's telling you don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers. But no, you need to talk to strangers if you want to continue to grow, because like I said, it's who, not how. And so I think just being in those rooms and being able to do that, you can get where you're going a whole lot faster.
Nice. I love it. And also, can you let's start the whole analyzing a deal. How would you run it? Could you share your screen and everything?
Sure.
Just pick a random property. Do you have a property that is in your funnel right now?
Let's
All right.
see here. When the fun, yeah, I got a text message yesterday.
And for those that are listening to this, we're doing this on YouTube. So you can switch over to that one. You can check it out.
All right, we're gonna go with 135 Indian Summer Avenue. And this guy, he was halfway through the project and ran out of money.
Okay.
And so really just go in here and kind of look at the area. It was a block home, which is kind of typical, built probably in the 60s. And you look at the zip code. For me, I know where the zip code, what we're doing. This was in Callaway, 3522404. And so I know in that area, like now where we're pivoting, I want to be around $165 price per square foot at the end of the day, in and out.
Yeah.
At the height of last year, the spring of this year, some things were selling 185 to 190, but kind of around 2019, 165 is a really good price where I know we'll definitely be able to cash flow.
Yeah. So you categorize areas through zip codes, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In Panama City, we got 4 main zip codes. And so from there, you can kind of map out and understand there's Tyndall Air Force Base is close to the base. It's a good rental area. And yeah, and I just go in, let's get back and get the price per square foot. So I know 165.
And how'd you come up with 165? Is just your experience selling stuff over there?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just where I want to be from a risk standpoint right now as the market shifts, that's where I want to be at on the ARV, whereas that we're not left holding anything. And so let's see. Matter of fact, I just go to tax assessor and get everything directly from there.
Okay. So you hop on to the county records.
Yep. What was that? Indian Springs? Indian Summer. There we go. All right. So heated area is 1268. We can see here he bought it for $8,600 after the hurricane. So it probably had some hurricane damage, which we know he already had money that he's started the renovation and kind of ran out of money. And so you know, based off that, okay, he lives out of state. That's like, okay, so we got to own out of state. Probably dealing with contractors down there and trying to manage from afar and running into issues potentially. But 1268 times that 165, and I think this guy, he said he was asking around 175.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent me the pictures. It still probably needs about 25,000 in work. But when I pull out the calculator, at 1268 times 165.
So you're counting in the square footage of the area, multiplying that by 165 is like square footage. And how much you get?
Yep, 209,000 is the ARV, after repair value.
Nice.
Yeah, and so from there, it's like, okay, if I still got to put 30 in, you know, the 70, I still use the 70% rule. You know, if it's not a high risk asset, I'll go all the way up to 75, just depending on what kind of work we have to put into it. But when I multiply 209 by 70%, I get 146. And then if I got to put 25,000 in it, I'm gonna subtract that from the 146,000, and then I get 121,000 for as my offer price.
Nice. Okay. And can you explain quickly what the 70% rule is to the people here?
Sure. So after you fix a property up, you bring it up to 2022 standards. Then you want to that's the market value, what the house should appraise for. And so that number is your after repair value. And so going in, you want to be at 70% of that number. That number that you have after you fixed it up is all ready to go. Is a family can move in it and it'll appraise at the top of the market. That's the number that you want to use based off your analysis. And so 70% of that number gives you that baseline of where you want to purchase at, and then from that number that you get, you just subtract out however much it's going to cost you to renovate it, and then there you go. That's the max you can pay for that property. You probably want, during negotiations, you want to start a little bit lower. You get it less than that number, perfect, but you probably don't want to go above that number because now you're not going to get the profit level that you set kind of up front. And so I think that's the big thing there with the 70% rule. It kind of keeps you boxed in, whereas that you're accounting for expenses at a high level and your profit that you're going to be able to put in. And whereas that now you got a little cushion in there just in case things go over, that you're still going to be profitable.
Gotcha. So that 30% is your profit margin. Or what would that 30% be?
Yeah, so that 30% includes your profit margin. It includes your closing costs, your expenses that you're paying for your realtor, on that part as well too. And then you would also, that would take care of your closing costs on the front end too. Those expenses that's in there would be kind of taken out of that 30%.
Gotcha. Do you also count wholesale fees?
Yeah, if you're dealing with a wholesaler, then yeah,
nice.
those fees would be in there too.
All right. Let's head back to, and would you say this is a deal or no deal?
At that price is a deal for sure.
Okay, nice. And how much would you be profiting off of it?
Yeah, with that one at 209, and we went down to 46. So I think on that one, you're going to end up being around 60K.
60K profit?
60K, and then you put in my realtor commission and everything. So we'll probably be about 47,000 probably.
Okay, nice. We have our thing before we move on to the ending questions here. It's called the we're just gonna go around and ask these guys, do they have any questions before we move on? So we'll start off with Sami here. Go ahead, Sami.
Hello, how you doing?
How's it going, man?
So I have a question, right? So for example, right, let's say you're trying to start an agency. Do you have any ideas on how you would go upon that idea, for example?
A real estate agency? Man, the way I would go about it is, find somebody that's running an agency that's in your network. And if not, just start. I would start calling agency owners, call Century 21, Keller Williams, like EXP. Just start calling and see if you can take one to lunch and pick their brain. All you need is one to say yes. You probably get a lot of no's, but I would say you gotta talk to those people to get their experience, how to go about starting. They can definitely help you kind of cheat code what you need to do to get going.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're trying to do it in a real estate environment, you probably need to become a realtor at first, like a real estate agent, and then work yourself up with the education. And I believe it's like 6 years in, you could then build your own agency. All right, we're gonna go with Chris here. Chris, go ahead.
So not all of us are gonna have the contract experience that you have, contract dealing experience you have with the military. So, like, how would you go about if you were a civilian? How would you get to a level comparable to yours without military?
Did you understand that, Johnny?
Yep. So how to get a level of confidence with
Or like not necessarily
Like, how
confidence,
would you?
also
He's saying,
confidence,
how would you do it
but
in the
confidence.
civilian world if
Yeah,
you
yeah. How
were
would you?
if you weren't in the military?
with for us getting started and not like having leveraging the VA loan and
Yeah.
that piece.
And also like your underwriting experience. You know, how you said that's what you mainly do.
Oh
in the
yeah.
military.
Yeah, so on the civilian side, that you got to use whatever resources that you have available to you. You still have the FHA loan where you can do the same thing. You can't get multiple FHA loans, but you can at least get up into at least a 4 unit with that same. It's a low down payment, 3.5% down payment. Then you can look at refinancing it after a year or two and convert it over to strictly a rental property. And so there's different loan programs out there. You still can get hard money loans to do burrs or flips. With the burr being the buy, renovate, rent it out, refinance, and repeat that whole process. So you have some opportunities there, whereas that you can leverage different loan products to kind of get into deals and start going. On the contract and analysis side, you just got to do it. You just got to practice it and do it and be around other people that are doing it. So you can teach yourself for sure, just how to underwrite the deals, but going through that process, like being able to get out and, walk a property with another investor or, and you really can do that by making those connections with the network and the real estate meetups and things like that, where you can do those type of things. But I think just leveraging the network to get there as you build up the experience, because you're going to get it over time. It's not going to be immediate. And the more you're do anything, the more, comfortable that you're going to become with it.
Nice. And let's start with the first ending question here is, if you can go back in time, Johnny, what would you ask your younger self? Or what would you tell your younger self?
Buy multifamily sooner.
Sooner. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, but definitely I would have looked at a 4 unit as soon as I started with my VA loan and and just getting multifamily sooner, because you just can accelerate your journey and partnering up, you can just move a lot faster.
Yeah, of course. And what would you like to ask your future self?
Ask my future self. Was it all worth it?
Like that. Yeah, that's a good question. Was it all worth it?
Yep.
I'm probably gonna say he's probably gonna say yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna look back on this like, dude, it was well worth it. And
Yeah.
what is that one secret sauce into becoming very successful? What do you think it is?
I think for each and every person is understanding the transformation that you need to make because the person that got you to where you are today isn't going to be the person that can get you to where you want to be in the future, to achieve those successes, those dreams that you want to achieve. That you're gonna have to change. You're gonna have to change who you are. You're gonna have to continue to grow, and just know that the person you are today can't achieve those things. That you got to build that person up and go through the process, the refinement process, in order to become the person to achieve everything that you want. And so I think that just people understanding that the transformation that they have to make, that whole thing, that journey for me, going from broke Johnny to woke Johnny, was how I got there, and just going through and understanding that process that comes with it, and embracing that process, to know that if it's not working for you, it's working on you, and that you're gonna be better for it at the end.
Nice. Nice. I like that. And what is a quote that you live by every day?
Man, here lately, the biggest quote that I've been kind of, it's almost like a chant that I walk around and I say this to myself, and just it's always top of mind. We can, we will, we must.
Where's that
And
from? That sounds so familiar.
I know ET says I can, I will, I must, but I put the we on it because now being in the position where I'm in, that I'm leading the team, and the success that I'm able to achieve is all being driven from the team. So
Yeah.
it's definitely it's a we thing.
Yeah, that's all love right there. And what are some books that you would recommend for certain situations or parts of your life, or even just business and investing into real estate?
Yep. No, I think definitely everybody needs to read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It talks about real estate, but more so it helps you with just having a business investor mindset and just understanding how money works. That one, behind that one, I'm gonna say my own book, Millionaire Real Estate Success Strategies, what they forgot to teach you in school.
Oh shit, I
Um,
didn't even know you had a book. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So that came out December of last year. And and everybody, they can get a free PDF they can download from my Facebook group. I think we got the link out there. But my real estate investment cash flow club, that's out there. But yeah, they can download that. So that's a good book, because I interviewed a lot of veterans that's in there that's doing real estate investing part-time while they're still active duty or they've gotten out. And so it's a really cool stories what people have been able to do. And I share my journey as well too. And I think that third book is 10X by Grant Cardone. It's like we set small goals and we don't really stretch ourselves that often. And so I think that's the biggest thing is like, okay, how can I go bigger faster?
Yeah.
Just kind of start thinking about that and understanding who can help me do that thing that I want to do. And so I think that's a good book as well too.
Have you read Grant Cardone's other book? Figure out what it's called. Let me look it up real quick. It's Be Obsessed or Be Average.
I have not. I think I started it. I think I got that on the Google Drive. That's
I-
one of his first ones, I believe.
No, that one's after the 10X rule, right?
Okay.
And I
Okay.
think it's way better than the 10X rule. So I think
Really? Okay.
yeah, I think you love it. And before we move on to the last two questions here, we have a special segment. It's called Spinning the Wheel. And if I can pull it up, that'd be great. Trying to figure out which tab it is. Let me just pull it up real quick.
Okay.
Okay, got that. Right here. All right, got it right here. So I'm gonna spin it for you because you
Okay.
can't physically spin it. So let's see what you get. All right. Favorite software that you use a lot? What would it be?
Slack.
Slack. And
Yeah.
can you
Yeah,
can you
it helps.
explain to people what Slack
Yeah,
is?
sure. Yeah, Slack is a collaboration messaging tool that you can also, it's almost like WhatsApp, that's another one, but you can, it's searchable. You can upload PDFs, files, all that. And so for me, it helps me manage. We have individual channels for like each project that we have, and I can communicate with my virtual staff that's in the Philippines or wherever they may be working from. And I use that for my coaching business and also for my real estate investing business. So
Nice.
Slack for sure.
Now, what are the competitors to Slack that you were like, oh, Slack is just better than them?
WhatsApp is a good one. I think WhatsApp allows you to do a lot of the same thing, communication and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's searchable and you can upload PDFs. So I think, yeah, WhatsApp's right there with it.
Nice. And second to last question is there anything that you would like to tell your mother or father?
Man, I would tell them thank you for all the sacrifices they made. It paid off.
Yeah. Nice. I love that. And how can people reach out to you? And I didn't know you had a book, so that's going to be on my list to buy as well.
For sure. And I got the download PDF, but it's on Amazon too. So you can get the hard copy on Amazon. JohnnyLynum.com is a great place to kind of see everything that we got going on. To find me, I'm on LinkedIn, the Military CEO on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook as well too. And yeah, and I have my free Facebook group where I have a lot of guys out there and just free content to help people that's looking to get started in real estate, just sharing the journey and systems, processes, all this stuff.
Nice. And thank you for that. And Johnny, you did a great job. We loved having you here. And yeah, well, thanks for coming to Nova University.
Awesome, man. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. And yeah, man, and much success in the future.
Thank you.